Asatoma sagamaya tamasoma jyotirgamaya mritorma mritam gamaya Shanti 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 Amen. O Lord, may Thou leadest us from the unreal unto the real. May Thou leadest us from darkness unto light. May Thou lead us, O Lord, from death unto immortality by Thy grace. Peace, peace, and may peace be upon us. Hashem.
Everything must change. Nothing stays the same. Everything must change. No one stays the same. The young becomes the old, and mysteries do unfold. Never much too soon. Yes, everything must change. There are many things in life you can be sure, you can be sure, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds do fly. I forgot the words right there. I got 'em. Winter turns to spring. A wounded heart, a wounded heart, a wounded heart will heal. But never much too soon. Yes, everything must change. The young becomes the old, and mysteries will unfold. 'Cause that's the way of time. Yes, everything must change. There are many things in life you can be sure, you can be sure, except rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds to fly. Rain comes from the clouds, sun lights up the sky, and hummingbirds to fly, fly, fly.
Kobe Mamba Bryant to you. You'll never know. But all these men doing here, y'all going to hell. It's a man holiday. How many of you know that you're here in this room? Show of hands. You're aware that you're here in this room? True. How many of you are aware that you're sitting on that bench? Show of hands. How many of you are aware that you woke up this morning? How many of you are aware that I'm seeing you, you seeing me? How many of you are aware of what school you went to when you were 7 years old? Old folks, you're excused from that. But surely, some of you know your names, right? Know your addresses, right? You know how you feel inside the body and so forth and so on, right? That's your operational self, you see. That's your psychophysical self, your day-to-day self, you see. You have memories and all of those things. Are you with me? It's the self you feel you are. It's the only experience of self that you are having fundamentally. True? That's the self you wake up to every morning. The self you worry about, so forth and so on. That self is going to die. All of it. Every last bit of it. All of us probably recently reacted to Kobe Bryant tragedy.
Yes, sir.
It affected us. True. Shocking. Tragic. Untimely. You think he had any clue?
No.
Do you think you're going to have a clue?
No, sir.
You see, one of the things you have to understand is that that very self-awareness that you all just confessed, which characterizes your experience of self, sometimes it's not so bad. Sometimes it's pretty difficult. But whether good or bad, most often, aren't you glad you're alive? I mean, some of you had some good days, some bad days, but you know, the good days were good days. Or you just woke up feeling good for no reason at all. You even leaned over and kissed your husband or kissed your wife, you see? It was a good day to be alive. Those kind of opposite experiences just mentioned can produce two emotions, basically. Awe and just the joy of being alive, you see? That's what Abiyasi called it. Man, I had an awesome day. You see, I made 12 sales, you know what I mean? And I didn't get in an accident, you know, et cetera, et cetera. Awesome. You see, everybody's had some awesome days, right? In this state of the operational self, correct? The second emotion that you will have is fear that this will come to an end. True? True. True. So awe and the dread of this coming to an end is what directs your whole life, you see. And what we're really up to, if you really observe, basically, you're repressing the dreadful awareness, aren't you? Mm-hmm. Of your mortality. Mm-hmm. That this self that you love, that you take as best care as you can of it, you try to make it as comfortable as possible. There's a dread because that same awareness that you have of being alive is also the same awareness you have that you're going to die. But that has to be repressed, as we call it in the business. You repress that. And so you have a way of life that you have created for yourself that acts as a shield, or as Gurdjieff called it, a kunda buffer. It filters out the dread, you see. Otherwise, you fall into an existential crisis, don't you think?
Yes, sir.
Right? Because no matter what you do, you see, you're haunted by the reality now. You will die. It's all over with. So we construct these bubbles to protect ourselves in the form of your beliefs, your values, your opinions, what you think, what you don't think, et cetera, right? So you construct these belief systems to somehow, you see, anesthetize you of the dread, full event that is death. I think that picking up on what you were feeling when Kobe perished in that plane crash will serve you. Because fundamentally it reminded you, you too will die.
Yes, sir.
You see. In Buddhism, you're all right so far. I think this part moves. I have no idea. This is my bodily maintenance man. Thank you, beloved. I'm scared of me shaking you. So, in Buddhist tradition, there was a scholar sage in the 11th century. His name was Atisha. And Atisha penned a piece for the sake of the Buddhist Sangha, those who were contemporary to him, of a series of contemplations that aims at preparing you psychologically, you see, to embark upon the way to bring that dilemma to an end. So I thought we'll chat a little bit about that, if you like. If not, we can handicap who will win today and pick up money. Who want to hold the money? You from St. Louis, you can't hold the money. Pick somebody else. Guys in St. Louis run off with the money. But Atisha crafted 9 contemplations. I sent them to you, didn't I, Rennie Kamara? Did you sleep? No? Y'all didn't sleep with me? Okay. Well, don't sleep now. So, but we've already touched upon one of the things to really contemplate, which is the fact that all of us are going to die sooner or later. To really sit with that. Here you can't really do the contemplation, appropriately, because you need a quiet, a solitude. You need to relax, you see. Do your own version of sitting under a boat tree, or sitting by a river, or up in the mountains somewhere, or out in the desert, like the desert fathers in early Christianity, you see. Away from everything that could distract you from really, really contemplating that reality, you see. Asato ma sakamaya. Moving from what is unreal to what is real. There's the young folks that are keeping it real with yourself. Making that transformation. So sooner or later, all of us who are in these bodies are going to die. Buddha died, Jesus died, Muhammad died, Atisha died, right? Nobody escapes. True? Rich people die, poor people die, powerful people die, you see? Pretty people die, so don't be counting on trying to get so pretty you won't die. You're gonna die, you see? All of us. Sooner or later. You don't know under what circumstances, what situations, etc., 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 right? So the thing to begin to really, really contemplate on is what are you doing to be prepared for that which you cannot escape from? Consider that. What are you doing to prepare for that which you know and have been trying to not know that is inevitable for all of us? You see? Every living thing dies. Rats dies, cockroaches die, mosquitoes die, the sun will die, it will burn out, galaxies dies, right? Turn into black holes. True? True. Nothing lasts here, including you, the empirical self, the operational self, you see, the you that you really feel you are, that you're trying to make last. What it's a futile ambition. Understanding that, what are you doing to prepare for that moment? Some of us in here are old enough to have come to retirement, right? We've been kicked out of the office, out of the place of employment, right?
Yes, sir.
But those of us who, when we started that career or what have you, we knew that one day it was bound to happen.
Yes, sir.
So you took advantage of your 401k, or you start saving money, putting away a little bit for that time in your life when you know checks stops. You see? And you gotta make it from there on your own, right? That's intelligence. You see? I think you and I, once upon a time, was a financial person, understand how you try to help people make those kind of plans for that which is inevitable. And you say, okay, you gotta kind of kick back on spending up every dime you make. You see, you need to budget, you see, you need to set something aside because this is going to happen. True. So most intelligent people, which you all are, going too far here. But a few of you all understood that. And you put something away. You sort of discipline yourself. Well, what are you doing to prepare for death? Consider that. Oh, fool. No kidding. A teacher says, reflect further that your lifespan is decreasing continuously. Our teacher's reminding us that you started dying the day you came out of that womb. This self started dying the moment it came out your mother's womb. And it's been dying continuously ever since. Isn't that true? Mm-hmm. And it will eventually reach a point where, just like that, it's over with. So it's no comfort in presuming that you got all this time, you see, to find some elixir that would give you immortality, you see? You have some time. But you don't know that. But what you do know, you're moving toward death. That you know. And when you reach that stage in your journey where your knees are going out, you see your hair is turning gray, right? You can't run so fast, you can't see so good, the senses begin to wane. You follow me? Mm-hmm. Well, if you didn't know then, you know it then, right? Your lifespan is decreasing constantly. And then it is. A teacher says, notice this. You see? I mean, really sit down. Really sit down. Can't do it in here. You know, I'm distracting you. I'm running my mouth. But you really need to really find a very, very quiet place. And you really need to sit down and contemplate this. You see? And especially those who are, quote unquote, on the path, been initiated, blah, 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 blah. You see? Without the foundation of these kind of contemplations, you're wasting initiation. You see? Because you won't have the requisite frame of mind and attitude to be serious about it. Are you with me?
Yes,
Make sense?
Yes.
In fact, you will turn it into another one of your strategies that helps you keep the reality of your mortality repressed. That's all you'll do with it. You'll use it like religion, basically. A teacher says further, and we won't go through all of that. You know what I mean? It'll take up too much time, but you know the name. You all got smartphones, you see? Look it up for yourself. But a teacher says, thirdly, that whether you are prepared or not, you still gonna, what?
Die.
What?
Die.
What? Right.
Getting out of here.
Yeah, you're still gonna die, whether you are prepared or not. It's just like the analogy of retirement, right? And whether you save, don't save, you still gonna get kicked out the door. You're gonna get at a point where you can't even go to a job, even if you got one. Right? Shit, you know what I mean? You're too old. I can't see, you can't do nothing. You show up, they'll fire you because you see now. So there's no way around it. So whether you're prepared or not, you're still gonna die. You're still going to die, and you know that. You see, the mystics don't really have to come here and tell us that. You really know it. You just suppress that knowledge. You see, and when you suppress the knowledge of your mortality, you see, you not only live a foolish life, but you also create for yourself a kind of low-grade anxiety. You see, a death anxiety. It's right there, always moving around. You see, always moving around. So ready or not, you're still going to die. And if we are as intelligent about that as we are about our finances, right, you'll prepare. But if you don't, then you eat dog food when you retire. So that's simple. Y'all all right? Atisha says that your lifespan, just like every other living thing's lifespan, that is not fixed, as he says. By that he means that's not guaranteed. That's not predictable. You see? How you know you're gonna live for 80 years? Kobe probably was thinking the same thing, according to his calculations, right?
yes, sir.
True? True?
True.
So you are basing your whole program on some age that you have predicted in your mind somewhere, just like Kobe and everybody else, you see. But it's not like that. lifespan, just like everybody else's lifespan, Kobe Bryant's lifespan, that ain't guaranteed to line up with what you have predicted. And it has nothing to do with where you think your death will occur. You think yours will occur in your bedroom with your family around you, candles burning, a few Radasi chanting the mantra. I'll be there. I ain't gonna be there. I would have already been gone. But you get my point?
Yes,
That's
yes.
what you predict. Kobe, I bought him a big house, car, beautiful home, right? Dollars stacked high as the clouds.
Yes, sir.
He didn't plan on burning up in a helicopter. Don't you think? How was it, Mama?
41.
Okay. He didn't think he'd be dead at 41. Right? A teacher said, sit down, and contemplate this. Especially if you've been fortunate enough, you see, to have this precious human body, right? As a tool, right? Time is the currency of life, not what you're putting in the bank every Friday when you get paid. Time is the currency. Thus, a teacher says somewhere else in this beautiful gift to us that there's many ways and many causes of death. True? True? Helicopter accidents, right? Car accidents, murder, all kinds of things. I mean, you all probably know as many or perhaps even more than I'm able to articulate. The causes of your death, the possible causes of your death is infinite. Have you ever thought about it? Infinite causes of your death. You see? Infinite. You see? Anything, right? You can drive home from here, drive through the west side. You know, y'all on the west side, right? we shoot over here. You drive along listening to 102.7. You're going to forget about what I'm talking about. That, you know, depresses the dread. You see, he jumps back up there. You see what I mean? Oh, I'm in the crisis now. But once you get in your car, turn the radio on, it'll go back down. But you may catch a bullet. This is the west side. Right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, anything can happen. I mean, literally, there's a infinite varieties of causes that will result in your death. It is very interesting. A teacher doesn't talk about it so much, but in another different spiritual tradition, they point out the fact that you will be doing something, not knowing that that something is going to cause your death. Now ponder that. Ponder that. You are doing something even right now that is going to ultimately be the cause of your death. This is how it is. Right now. You may be doing it in the form of an activity. You may be doing it in the form of a way of thinking, et cetera, you see. And you may be standing on the corner of State and Madison, running a little late, And then, in that moment, you decide, I'm gonna walk on this yellow light, they ain't gonna hit me. Yeah. But you did that. You see, the universe operates, and the way it operates is that you reap what you sow. You see, you decided to cross that street against the light. Right? You decided to swing around this asshole that is going way too slow, and your brakes went out. You decided. You're doing things right now that over time will lead directly to the worst decision you have ever made, and cause your death. You see? I ain't going to the doctor. You know what I mean? The doctor's just full of shit. You know what I mean? They're just trying to make money off you, right? And so I'll be all right. You see, I'm gonna eat apples and bananas, and I'm gonna take vitamins and blah, 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 right? Keeps right on going, right on going, right on going, right on going. And then you are in so much pain and suffering now. You see? And you go to the doctor, and they give you back that bad news. Oh, you got third stage cancer. If you had it came in early, because of what? But because of your attitude, right? Your thing did not go. Reminds me of a story. It won't be as good as Bilal's story, so don't get excited, okay? Bilal is the storyteller. But a guy gets a call from his doctor, right? Maybe he was one of those kind of persons that we just talked about. And the doctor says, "Set Rod." You see, I got some good news and some bad news for you. So Sarah said, "Oh shit, you know I'm a Radashi." He said, "Give me the bad news." You see, he says, the doctor said, "You sure you want the bad news?" Now he realized that. Yeah, I want that bad news, you see. So he said, "Well, I'm gonna give you the good news first." He said, "The good news," said Rod, "you got 24 hours to live." He said, "Good news." What kind of shit is this? That's how he talks. Right? He said, "Well, if that's the good news, what's the bad news?" He said, "I forgot to call you yesterday." So like that. That's how we roll. Okay. That's how we roll. So the point, of course, again, is that there's so many ways that Yama can the Lord of Death can take you out of here. You get into an argument, you see my point with somebody, it could be your husband, it could be your wife, it could be your child, right? You're going back and forth, and then it gets hotter and hotter, and you start escalating up that hierarchy of anger to the point of rage, and then you go insane, and you go get a butcher knife, and you kill your own husband. Or you kill your own wife. You don't know you might be sleeping to the cause of your death. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
The stove that you cook on every day, you might forget to cut the damn thing off, or you're gonna get, if you see now, forgot to cut the gas off, right? Blow your ass up. Y'all got it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sit. Contemplate these things. Maybe one more from a teacher. A teacher says, your body is very fragile and vulnerable. You see, very fragile and vulnerable to death. How so? I mean, you think about it. You breathe in, you breathe out. That cycle of inhalation and exhalation at the time of death stops. You breathe out, but you're not going to draw a breath. Now, if you know something about the central nervous system and the autonomic and so forth and parasympathetic, if you know the nervous system, the brain and the spine, right? How long do you think that will work when you can't breathe in the next breath? Well, and within 30 to 40 seconds, everything's gone in this body. Flatline. 30 to 40 seconds. Flatline. This heart. How long you got? Flatline. Y'all got it? Fragile. A breath and a beat. You're a breath and a beat away from death. A breath and a beat. And you out. Just like that. Consider that. You see? Consider that. You see? Your energy, your vitality. You see? You eat whatever you want to eat. You can take as many vitamin pills as you like. Are you with me? That ain't what keeps the machine running. Are you with me? It's a breath and a beat. That's it. That's it. You see? At the time of death, you can't do anything to this body. Your body is not going to help you. See my point? At all. It gets really profound. So death is coming. There's no way around it. And you can repress your awareness of your mortality as much as you like. You're still going to die. You're still going to die. And worse, you would die totally unprepared for it. You put your head in the hole like that ostrich, and you thought the lion was not going to eat you. The lion's still going to eat you. You see, the denial of death. That's why all of the various spiritual traditions, that is the core teaching. You see? Core teaching, death. You see? The sons across all time and space talk about that same thing, you see? That's what meditation is. Meditation is not described as a way to relax and reduce your stress. and extend your years of life and so forth. No, that's not, meditation is not described as having that as its purpose. Are you with me? What is the purpose of meditation? What do they call it? It is what? What? Say it one more time, all together.
Dying while living.
Right. Dying while living. That's meditation. You see, has nothing to do with, extending and somehow exempting you from bodily death. Right? True?
True.
The great meditators' bodies still died, but they were ready. Difference. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So yes, a Kabir died. Yes, a Dadu died. Yes, this saint died. That saint. Yes, but they're ready. Have you ever saw perhaps on Facebook or YouTube or some documentary, these Thai monks? And they do protests, right, against this and that, right? I think there was one clip years ago, it might still be on there. You could go find and look at it for yourself. They would go into the square, sit down, get into the asana, right? You see, transcend, you see, this body while living. They douse him or her with gasoline, strike a fire. Psh, they don't even twitch.
Yep.
Don't even twitch, nothing. They don't even flicker, no movement. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Gary, you know how to lead a body. We'll talk more about that a little bit. So, your body is very fragile and very raw to death. And you are a breath and a beat away from. Estamos sanitados. You can work out in the gym all you want. You can eat vegetarian and vegan and all of that. Take your vitamin, do all of that. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do those things, but don't think that's going to give you an edge. It's not. At all. You have any idea of how many people go into LA Fitness, get on a treadmill, running and drop dead? You see, so the place you're going to try to get physically fit enough to live another 45 years, you walked into your death zone. And you didn't know that. Now, traditionally, when the Atisha, like in the Buddhist tradition, when they enter into these contemplations, the best place, and of course, I don't think it's probably wise in the times we live in, but they will go into a graveyard and they will sit on or around corpse. And this is what they would do, this contemplation. You see, the best I can offer you is the funeral home. Maybe we should have did this downstairs. Well, they don't have room downstairs. Maybe we should start moving downstairs next time. You see, where you can smell it, see it. Right? Here they decorate it. They hide it away, make them look like you're alive. You're the first thing alive, first dead. Right? In those days, no, you actually go and you see and you sit on a dying corpse or a dead corpse, rather, a rotten corpse. You see, so it drives it home. Are you with me? Drives it home. So you have to be a little bit more creative. You see. Atisha says that your loved ones with me? They could lean up at that bed and say, oh, daddy, don't die. Mama, don't die. They can't stop you from dying. Your loved ones cannot protect you from your death. Cannot happen. At all. So you can't rely on that. You see? Can't do it. No matter how much they love you, they are not going to be able to stop you from that moment of death. That's waiting on you. The priest can't stop it, the guru can't stop it, nobody can stop it. Are you with me? You either prepared or you're not prepared. It is that simple. So don't count on that. Take no comfort in that. Stop imagining that. You follow what I'm saying? You're still gonna die. In fact, they may make your dying even more difficult. Are you with me? Because they'll be telling you, don't die, like you got a choice in the matter. You know what I mean? You see, oh, mama, don't die. And you trying your best not to die, but you see, I'm so sorry I died. I didn't mean to die. Loved ones cannot help you or stop you from dying in that moment of death. I still know something. Now, one of the biggest strategies in mortality project that we run here in Western America, you see, is project materialism. You see, the more stuff I can get, you know what I mean? The bigger my house, the more my bank account grows. You know, all of your material resources, none of that can stop you at the moment of death. How much money do you think Kobe Bryant had?
The whole lot.
The whole bunch. You want to put a number on it?
2 billion.
How much?
2 billion.
2 billion.
Yeah.
See, I didn't know that. $2 billion. Did it stop that helicopter from crashing?
Nope.
No? No. So, your few thousand are not gonna stop it? Your True. I mean, really, it's
With your few hundreds.
It's not going to stop it, right? But that's a major part of your mortality project. As much money as I can, right? As much money as I can, because in the back of your mind you're saying, even if I get cancer, I got enough money to stop my death from cancer. No, you don't have enough money to stop it. Are you with me? I get enough money, I can protect myself from accidents. You can't protect yourself from no damn accidents. Are you with me? So your money is not a viable immortality strategy. It ain't gonna work. Period. Ain't gonna work. So, you must contemplate this. You must not make the pathological pursuit of wealth serve as your primary preparation for death, because it's not gonna help you. Solomon died, all of these people died with tons of money. Tons of money. Jeff Bezos gonna die. You see my point? They're all gonna die. And this myth that money is gonna stop you from dying, you see, is what is sold in the marketplace. True? It's not gonna stop. You see? Sit over there. You see? And this is what you must contemplate to the point of radical understanding. And when that is done, what occurs is what we call in the tradition a matisha, a gestalt shift, a paradigm shift. You see? A paradigm shift. Now, so much more can be said. I apologize because I'm glossy, but I know you all are scholars and so forth and so on. But these are the reality teachings. Now, when we come to the path, we hear all of the teachers, Natwam Deho, Mate Daho, Tatomasi, Humbramachi. I mean, we hear all of these lofty teachers and they are true, but not for you. Are you with me? Rather than to resort with great focus, great seriousness on really making the preparation that meditation is purposed to help you make, right? Instead, you avoid that and you try to believe yourself. Believe and believe. If I believe hard enough, snap. There will no longer be this misidentification with the gross physical body as being who and what I am. Your belief is not going to break that identification. Are you hearing me? Yes. You can try to stretch and force yourself to believe that shit as much as you want. You will still feel you are this body mind. Are you with me? Your beliefs are not preparation for death, children. Got it? Got it?
Yes, yes.
They're not a substitute for that. You believe as much as you like. Are you with me? I know some of you are very familiar with Advaita Vedanta, that whole tradition. They talk about yes, Saravana, Manana. Yes, they have their place. But Saravana, Manana, and conviction, intellectual conviction, that's not it. There must be some nidhyasana. There must be some practice. And I tell you why. Would you like to know why?
Yes. Tell me.
See you next Sunday. We'll have a little discussion about it. Can't go into too much detail because everybody is not initiated and practitioners. I'll say as much as that is safe to say. I don't know, do anybody remember back in the early 70s, it was some groundbreaking research that came out of psychological research. And there were two books principally. I don't know, you might have read them, but I don't know. One was Life After Life by Dr. Raymond Moody, right? On what now we call near-death experiences, NDEs. You remember them, Padavakaji? And then the other one was The Denial of Death by Ernest Becker. Okay, those two books open up a whole new research field, you see? So forth and so on. Anybody had an NED or know a little bit about NDEs? NDEs are what they call near-death experiences. You probably have seen some people on TV talk about they had a near-death experience, right? And that they went into an altered state of consciousness. One of the most popular part of the experience that is near-death experiences is what they call OBEs, or out-of-body experience, right? You see that? Y'all seen ghosts, right? Okay. Well, that's not all true, but it's close, right? But they have a serious accident, something, right? And by the early 70s, resuscitation medicine had reached a new point, right? Because in the 60s, it was just CPR and all of that. But as you got into the 70s, and so forth, recitation medicine had evolved, right? So they were able to take these people, right, that died on the operating table or was in a car crash or was clinically dead, right? And resuscitate. Now, during that period, while the doctors were working on their body, they hovering, the feeling is that you're hovering above the body and you're looking down at your body, right? And that produced certain kind of reactions in that consciousness now, right? It's looking down at the body, you see? And it's having other experiences now. And you all can read the literature about all of that. You know, they go through a tunnel, they see the light, it's blissful, you know what I mean? Blah, blah, blah. And they're looking down at that body and there's the resuscitation process, you know, work. And now they gotta go back into the body and they don't wanna go back into the body. You see? What they are having is fundamentally is the experience of being conscious without this body. And one of the psychological feelings that they bring back with them is the ending of the dread.
Wow.
Death anxiety is over with. They're no longer afraid of death of the body. Because they now know they've had an actual experience, not a belief. Not something you read in a book, an actual experience of being not this body at all. In fact, a much higher experience, you see? So there's about a slew of things that happens, you know. And you can read the research for yourself. I won't bore you with all of that kind of stuff. But there's all kinds of things you discover. When you're out of this body, all of these 5 sensory systems of perception are intensified. You see? Like the sight operated in the physical body through these eyes, it's so limited. You see? I mean, how far can you see? You see? Clearly, anything. Well, when you come out of the body, all of these senses that have been operating in these physical organs are increased dramatically. Dramatically, right? And because even the movement, I mean, you can only go where you can go with this body, not so there. You see my point? Because there's no limit. This limits your ability to move in space. Without it, I mean, it's all kinds of things and they having that kind of experience. Shit, you know what I mean? Who wants to go back into a body? You follow me? So they look upon death as, man, you know, let's get it on. Because I want more of that. You see? Now, I must tell you that there are so many reports of near-death experience. Some of the oldest ones are in Egypt. They start in Egypt. Pyramid texts, the Book of Two Ways, you see, so forth and so on, the and Heru, right? The Egyptian Book of the Dead, so forth and so on. A lot of NDEs are reported back then, you see. And people will come back from those experiences, right? And they'll be a little bit more spiritually transformed, and they'll go tell people, you know, you're not the body, man. There's a dimension of being that is far greater than that. You know what I mean? You see? Stop all this chasing of this stuff. Store not up your treasures on earth. Because they've never seen something. But those of us who are still flat-minded, crawling on our bellies, we can't accept that because it's not in our experience. Are you with me?
All right.
Now, so many of those testimonies by people who have had near-death experiences have been usually the result of some kind of illness or accident and so forth and so on. And so they're resuscitated and they come back. But the report they give is not the complete thing, you see. Many of them will tell you that when they have a near-death experience, they'll go so far and they always run into an obstacle. They'll meet some entity in bright, radiant light that'll tell them, oh, stop. You got to go back. It's not your time. Now, this is what was represented. Remember when we were in Egypt in the hall of my heart, with the heart and the feather? That's a symbol of what happens. That's because everybody, obviously, heart was not light as a feather. Right? So the bastard had to fuck. Y'all go back. But they tell you, you're not ready. Go back. Right? So that's why they come back into the body. Remember, some people that have heart attacks, they don't get back into the body. Right? They go on further. And sometimes it's not a pleasant further, right? Because there are people who also have near-death experiences that are terrifying. You see? Terrifying. You see? In Buddhism, they call them the realm of the hungry ghosts, right? In Christian tradition, they call it purgatory. You read Dante? How many read Dante in front of? Okay, then that, some of y'all going in the Inferno. Even if they resurrect you, that's why people say, leave, do not resuscitate. You see? Because you don't want to go down to the Inferno. You see? But the hell, as they call it. Some people go there. You see? So it's a whole bunch of things. Point I'm making is that those kinds of incidents that normally occurs that produces these near-death experiences in the overall populations are almost always circumstances that are grave, medical, heart failure, blah, blah, blah. The mystics offer us a different route. What do you think it's called?
Meditation.
What?
Meditation.
Everybody say it again.
Meditation.
Right, because meditation gives you the ability to duplicate these same experiences that are being reported by people who have experienced near-death phenomena. You see, when you sit in your meditation and you're able to spiritually produce that experience, right? At will. See, those people that are reporting them, they didn't produce that at will, right? The mystic produces that at will. Now you have the actual experience of being only consciousness itself. You see? You can't have the experience of being only consciousness itself by simply believing I'm only consciousness itself, I'm only consciousness itself, I'm only consciousness itself. That's all right, but that's just the lowest level of practice, just intellectual. You see, it will not give you the experience of only being consciousness itself, right? Now, if you don't want to meditate, what I suggest, get into an accident. You see, where you almost kill yourself. But, you know, do it around a hospital, okay? And hopefully one of them doctors will run out of the building, bring you into triage and resuscitate you. And then when you come back, then you'll be able to meditate with confidence. Won't be no more problems. Because you would have lost the fear. Right? No more death anxiety, you see. Because you can't meditate now because the dread and the anxiety associated with your inevitable death got you so distracted in building your protective shield. You see? You can't take no time away from your immortality project to be doing no meditation. You busy. You follow what I'm saying? Right? You busy. And it could be anything, mundane, or you busy in the library. You got a stack of books this far. Trying to read. Reading become your immortality project.
Yes, sir.
Are you with me? It's an immortality project. You're not going to read yourself out of this misidentification with the body now. you're gonna have to have an experience minimally as solid as a near-death experience. So you have options. Patient, or, swallow you some bleach or some shit. Y'all like taking pill, we got a pill that take you some extra sick, you know what I mean? Leave us know. Pretend you were trying to commit suicide, then they'll rush you to the hospital, pump you out. True? Oh boy. Oh boy. So, I've been talking too much today. What you rascals want to talk about? I can go on and on and on. I don't want to do that. You see. But I do, I just wanted to remind you that before you can really make right use of knowledge, right use of your initiation, you must first be made serious about it. And the reflection and contemplation on your inevitable death is what will make you serious about it. If you really do it. If you really do it. You see. It'll straighten you out. Yes, beloved? Let's shake him.
I'm shaking my stuff.
Let's shake him, beloved.
I just want to say, thanks for coming in my direction, because I'm still retarded, and I can't imagine where I would be not having at least a glimpse of where I could go, It's just unbelievable how fortunate, just to at least hear the option of something else. So I'm just saying thanks.
You're welcome, beloved. You're so welcome. So welcome. We're all lucky, beloved. All of us, with no exception. We all are blessed. What the church folks say, you're blessed and you don't even know it. Blessed and you don't even know it. Ronnie Kamari.
I want you to talk a little bit about some of the passage in the 23rd Psalm. It says right in there that we're walking in the shadow of death.
Yes.
And a lot of times, we don't really know that, understand that, or believe that.
Yes.
But if you've had a little sickness or something in this body, you can more fully understand that we really are walking in a shadow of death.
Yes.
And like today is Groundhog Day, if the groundhog sees his shadow, he runs. And sometimes if we have this awareness of walking in the shadow of death, we want to escape too.
Yes.
But to sit in it and to stay with it, it changes you.
Yes. But that's the whole purpose of a teacher, and many other mystics, I might add, because certainly Buddhism and the teachers and so forth, they didn't have the lock on this. This has been known since time immemorial, you see. If you go into any culture, the shamans in the Native American traditions, you see, the adepts in Egypt, Asia, India, you see, you read the Rig Veda, the Vedic culture, it's everywhere. It is always the case. However, one of the greatest emphasis you'll find on the awareness of your death is in Buddhism, you see. Buddha, when asked of all of the teaching that he's given, you see, and those teachings are called baskets of teachings. Are you with me? 3 of them, so forth and so on. And he said, of all the 3 baskets of teachings that I've given, the greatest one is on death. Death. You see, the ancient African mystics advised those who were serious about it. One of the things, you got to get your mind right first, like with me, and understand this thing. And they said, and then factor death into how you'll do in your life. It was their way of saying, prepare yourself. You see? But if you're doing life and you haven't factored in the inevitability of your own death, then, you see, you will not be prepared. You see, you will not be prepared. You see, that was the whole thing about ancient Africa. It was about becoming Osiris. You see, Lord of Death, conqueror of death. That's who Osiris is. That's the Osirian tradition, right? You see. So that's the whole thing. So you know, the Psalms simply point out what is actually going on in your experience. All great scriptures are not revealing anything that we cannot see if you see things as things really are.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But see, part of the thing that you do, you don't see things the way things really are because you edit the way things really are, because if you saw it, that anxiety, that death anxiety will rise up and you'll fall apart, right? Because the only experience of being that you're having is this operational being sitting on that bench back there, you see? And you want that to live forever, you see? You want it to go to heaven, and that ain't going nowhere, you see? And so we screen that out, you see? It's like in that movie, you can't handle the two. That takes maturity, psychological maturity, you see? And besides, they did not really want to engage you in too many arguments to try to convince you about it because they know those arguments are not going to transform you. Rather, they will try to engage you, you know what I mean? In prayer or meditation, right? You see? So that you can have the experience that breaks this misidentification, you see, and give you the actual experience of being on the pure consciousness itself. You see? Prior to, during, and after this body. And that has to be an experience, right? Has to be experienced, you see? So, Jesus says it so clearly in many places. You have eyes, but you cannot see. Ears, but you cannot hear. You see? So the shadow is self-created. You create the shadow. There is no shadow in any kind of ontological sense, right? You closing your eyes and said, somebody cut all these lights off tonight. I don't know who did that. Who cut off all these lights like that? God did it. No, you close your eyes. You're walking in darkness. You see? You're walking in darkness. And that's how that is. You see? So you're absolutely right, Renee Kamari. You're dying all the time. You see? As long as you're breathing in and out, know that your lifespan is being decreased with every cycle of inhalation and exhalation. Every beat in your heart shall remind you, you're dying, you're dying, you're dying. And so the bottom line question becomes, as already mentioned, what are you doing to prepare yourself for that? Your heart is telling you. It's telling you. So what you gonna do? We look in the mirror, see the gray hair, you see my point? We look at our teeth, all of this stuff you can't run. Your body is telling you. Your body telling you right now, hey, you on your way out of here. We don't listen. You see? We don't listen. You see? Ptahotep says that the Lord loves one who listens to the point of hearing. You see? Listening to the point of hearing. You see? Not just listen and don't even try to understand nothing, just recording it as more information. That ain't hearing. You see? can't hear unless you learn how to listen. It's really that simple. And you will make right use of this opportunity. Or you won't. You see? Or you won't. You see? So even if you're not resuscitated and you just have the kind of usual conventional death where you dead and that's it, and the next place this body goes is in a graveyard somewhere. You don't went somewhere else, you see. Well, in the book of the dead, they outline what's going to happen to you there. You see, you're going to reincarnate. Reincarnation is fundamentally a mechanism by which those who have passed on that didn't get it are automatically rejected. So rejection system in the universe. We're all rejects. One and all. You see my point?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
You rejected. You see?
Absolutely.
And you sent back here to die again.
Yes, sir.
And to keep dying. And to keep dying. And to keep dying until you get tired of dying. And when that lifetime, when you die, when you're tired of dying, they say, who are you? According to the mythology of the ancient Egyptians, they'll ask you, who and what are you? And if you say, well, I'm Pat Cheeks from Oak Park. You see? You go back. You see? The answer they look for is our only disconsciousness itself.
Yes, sir.
Who are you? I am you. You see? I mean, it's really a fascinating thing, just from the point of view of, intellectualism. But that's basically what reincarnation is for. You see, it sends you back. Sends you back. Go back and get in the body. Get the lesson. You see? And it'll give you a body. It'll give you the circumstances. What we call Pravda. It'll give you all of the traumatic situations necessary for you to wise up a little bit more than when you were here the last time. Are you with me? You see? It's like when they failed you succeeded in 6th grade, they gave you a tutor. You see? So it wasn't so bad. So the universe is kind of like that. You see? So they'll give you, if you're really lucky, they'll give you a guru to tutor your ass. You know what I mean? How to get it right. You see? But it's like in any kind of thing. I know it's teachers in here, right? Okay. So one of the things we do at the Heart program, we try to help kids who come through our program. Many of them are sent from the schools, right? For all kinds of misbehavior and so forth in the classroom, et cetera, et cetera. And we tell them certain things about types of students, types of people, so forth and so on. And it's analogous, to life. Life is a school. You see? So like in a classroom, there are kids that don't want to learn. Because they figure, I already know enough. And if you're a teacher, you can see how those kids behave in the classroom, right? They just cutting up. Right? Just tearing shit up. You know what I mean? And distracting other students from learning, right? 'Cause they don't want to learn. They think they already know enough. You see? So they tend to guru themselves. We call them mamooks. They know how to do all that stuff. Right? They don't want to learn. You see? Then you have another type of student in a classroom. You have another kind of person, a class of seekers, right? In the world. Here to get lessons. They want to learn. They have a little curiosity. They would like it, right? But they don't come to class prepared. They don't bring no pen, no paper. You see my point? You see? They don't do homework. You know what I mean? You see? So even though they would like to learn, but they want to be able to learn without coming out of their comfort zone. You follow me? Cause I got my, shows to watch at night. You see, I can't be going no bed, missing my day, news night, you know what I mean? To get some sleep. You understand what I'm saying? But, if they could get it for free, they are. As long as they don't involve no homework or anything. Then you always have that kind of student in the classroom and that kind of seeker, you see, who really want to learn. You see, they come prepared, they got their pens and pencils, they take notes, they listen and everything, you see. They really want to learn. They appreciate the value of learning. They understand that, I need a good education in order for me to have a, higher quality life, et cetera, et cetera. We all know the rhetoric, you see. Of course, none of it's true, but that's nevertheless what goes on. But in the world, it's removed, you see, on the spiritual path, So they do saravana, they do manana, you see. It's just not words, terms for them, right? They actually go home and they reflect. You see my point? You see? The second type of students, they're engaged a little bit in the classroom, but when that class is over with, that book goes in their book bag and it never comes back out. Are you with me? That third type, they're a little bit more serious about it. They appreciate it, they really want it. It's a third type. They really want knowledge. They really want to learn, you see. There is a fourth type. We don't talk too much about it at the Heart program, but I can say something here because we all in this class together. Right? This is a classroom, right? And some of you are sitting here and you don't want to know more, to do more, because you think you already know enough and that you're already doing enough. It's the truth. Some of you are sitting in here in this classroom, you see, and you would like to know a little bit more, you see, but you don't want to read the book yourself. You want somebody to read it to you, you see, et cetera, et cetera. Give you some clip notes and so forth. Then there's some in here, you see, who really want to know, you see, they really want to know, you see. They come prepared. I read this. They're doing the work. They're feeling. They might be feeling it, their meditation, but they're doing this meditation. You see my point? They're doing it. Sometimes it ain't pretty, but they really want to do this. There's a fourth type that they got the knowledge now. They got it. They got A's on the test, right? The fourth type is that type of student that not only get the knowledge, but have the ability to apply to their life. That's the fourth type, you see. They can apply it. They do apply it. It's not set on a bookshelf anymore, you see. They're not satisfied with the A+ on the paper, you see. They want the transformation, you see. Those are always the rare ones. In fact, somewhere in the tradition they said that those kind of students, that fourth type, they're more rare than gurus. Gurus are a dime a dozen, really, That kind of devotee, that kind of disciple, that's rare. That's very rare, you see. Very rare. Much more rare than a guru, you see. It's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing, you see. Very different. Abby, I see you got that question still.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to be vulnerable for Black. Okay. when you talk about that, and like when I get upset and get mad, you know, a long time ago, like I write, right? And you know, it makes me think about Ruby. You talked about Kobe and everything and all that. It's two people that I think about. I think about John Coltrane, his wife, and I think about Kobe, and I think about his daughter. You're thinking like, okay, you can't help yourself, but you can't even help your daughter. So a lot of times, like, I try to have control of stuff, but you ain't got no control over it. And you talk about being prepared. And then when somebody asked John Coltrane's wife, how'd you feel about John Coltrane's death? She said it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And she was on the path for her and her husband, but it was like one of the greatest jazz musicians ever. And she said that him dying was beautiful.
Yeah.
And you look at Kobe, like, okay, they died together, you know, they didn't die alone. They say when the helicopter went down, he was still holding her. And I was like, how can I write about something like that? You know, it's like no control. It's like it takes all these emotions that you don't want to face. It's like, I don't want to think about that. You know, and even you go in your meditation, you don't want to think about that, but I think it's a level of like, for me, it's no control. And the point of letting go, it's like, you want to constantly hold on to that, but it's like, death will break you from that crumbling, you know?
Yeah.
It's,
Well, you have to look and see why you're clinging. See, what is it that you're clinging to? Attachment to something,
yeah.
so forth and so on, you see? It's an avoidance of the world, you see? Now, of course, Alex Coltrane and John Coltrane, they were at a different level in their relationship as husband and wife. First, they were lovers of the music, et cetera, et cetera. There was a kind of unity. And they were on a spiritual path. At least they had the philosophical sophistication to understand death is a gift. You see, it really is. Because Kobe Bryant's death was a gift. It reminded millions of people, hey, everybody, right? So it's not a romantic type of thing. You don't romanticize it. But the point I'm making is that you say he was holding his daughter. See, you would understand it if you had one. You understand? Because the impulse of a father, especially with his daughters, is to protect them. You see? It's to protect them. And it's a beautiful thing that you pointed out, that protective instinct that he had acquired at his own level of fatherhood was such that he's trying to protect his baby. You see? Kobe Bryant was a girl daddy. You have to understand, girl daddies are different. You see? They're girl daddies.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And girl daddies' father instincts are sharper. Because a father, a husband, man, at those levels, the whole thing is protection. The impulse is to protect. You see? It's not about you. You see? But if you don't have a daughter, and you're not a father, then how can you know anything about it? You could only speculate, right? You see? But some things, we call it participatory knowledge. It's not armchair anymore. There's some knowledge you cannot have unless you participate. Participatory knowledge, not speculation, not hypothetical, not, I think this, my opinion, that, none of that shit. You see? What we would call experiential knowledge. Right? If you don't have it, then you can't understand it. You see? But if you really want to understand it, then you go do that which will produce the experiential knowledge. Otherwise, it's just curiosity. Just curiosity. You see? But nevertheless, your observation was beautiful. I didn't know that, but they found the daughter in his arm. But that's just beautiful. That just makes Mamba even greater. You see? See, he was a better father than he was a basketball player.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
You see?
Yes, sir.
That's it. It's like that. It's like that. See? So in the spiritual tradition, meditation, as we were saying before, give you certain kind of experience, but you can't even get those experiences unless you have a foundation, you see? So you probably have studied some of the Yoga Sutras with Tantraji, you see? And the first step, the first Anga, you see, from Himsa, you see? It's spiritual. You got to be a moral and ethical person. You got to be capable of Dharma. You got to be capable of doing your duty. You see? Got to be capable of doing your duty. If you can't do your duty to your family, you're not going to do no duty to no guru. Who you kidding here? That shit ain't going to happen. You see? Because the ability to do duty is not even in you. Are you with me? You would try, but you can't do it. Are you with me? So these are the fundamental steps that has to be taken. You see? I used to emphasize over and over again, you got to become a first-class human being. You got to get this right. You see? So all of the talk about this and that, that's just talk. Talking head shit. You know? Fundamentally, you got to have that foundation, and you'll see it across all spiritual traditions without exception. You see? Moral and ethical ability to do your duty, what is required of you. You see? Whether you like it or not, you see, you must transcend your own selfishness for the sake of a higher principle being fulfilled. You must have that capacity. You see? That's why, beloved, in many ancient traditions, even today in some traditions that are still on the planet, you can't just walk through no door and get no initiation. You see? I mean, we got away with murder, right? But you have to understand, that's exactly what it is. It's like we look more like thieves. Are you with me? But no. You know, these heroes that we read about, they had to go away. You see, someone made to wait 10, 12 years. No, you just don't give a damn who you are. You're a king, shit. You know what I mean? You see, you'll come into the ashram, you stand up and say, your name, my name is blah, 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 and they'll say, hi, welcome, have a seat, done with you. You know what I mean? Now go into the garbage somewhere. I mean, go sweep. You see, go do some savor. Go do some savor. You see, go sweep some shit. You know what I mean? I remember an incident with Gandhiji and his wife, right? And his ashram, right? And you know, Gandhi is doing all this saving. He told his wife, okay, you got latrine saving. You got to go in there and wash them stools. She said, I ain't washing these stools. I'm your wife, blah, blah, blah. He said, you got to get your ass out of here. You can't be in this ashram if you can't clean a toilet. Are you with me? You see? So first you got to become a first-class man, first-class woman, required. And fulfill all those roles and duties associated with that. You see? Otherwise you're not going nowhere. You're not going nowhere. You see? That's the discipline. You see? And you can fantasize all you want. I'm going to sit here and do 10 hours a day. You ain't going to do no shit like that. You see my point? You don't have the discipline. Disciple and discipline have the same root. Meaning, discipline. You can't discipline yourself. You see? You cannot discipline that selfish impulse in you. You see? You just can't do it. You see? And you have to be disciplined. Right? Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
Across the entire spectrum. You see, you cannot be promiscuous, right? If sex is a legitimate thing, but discipline that, put that within the right context. can't be out here just screwing anybody, talking, they can marry. Are you with me? You must be capable of fidelity. You must be capable of fidelity. You must be able to keep a vow. You see? So that'll show up, right? You couldn't keep your marriage vow, and you can't keep your vow to God and Guru. You can't, because you can't keep no vows. You don't have no integrity. You have no discipline. You have no capacity for fidelity. You follow me? Are you with me, son?
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to rescue you from what we all went through. You see how beat up we are, right? You should listen to us, right? If somebody come back in the door there with blood all on them and say, hey, y'all don't go out there. We shouldn't go out there. So take it from us, man. You see, there's no shortcutting it. There's no shortcutting it. It's just no shortcutting it. You see, you can't believe yourself into a state of enlightenment. It's not based on no beliefs. Most of your beliefs, in fact, are serve you in protecting yourself from the reality that you're gonna die. That's what our beliefs are constructed to do. You see, it's to protect you, to keep that death anxiety tapped down. You see, so I believe that I ain't gonna die today. That's what it's gonna enable all of us to walk out the door and go get in these cars. You see? But there's gonna be 300,000 people that are gonna walk out of some door today and get wiped out on the highways. It could happen to you too. You never know. For all you know. And that's how it is. So, these 9 contemplations, beloved, to whatever degree you can engage in them, will be to your benefit because it'll give you the right seriousness. You see? The right seriousness that will enable to make right use of the gift of knowledge. You see? You see? I think that was, maybe I'm projecting because I'm only speaking out of my own experience being made to wait. You know what I mean? To have to wait from 18 to 20 or so, that's an ordeal. You see? It's an ordeal. You know? Wait. You see? Some mystics, like a young man, they wouldn't even initiate you unless you were married. You see? It's amazing. It's amazing. You see? Because they have to see what you're capable of, what you're made out of. You see my point? You see? The minimum requirement is that the evidence that you can love. You see? They say, well, who you love? You love, got a daughter? No. Checking kid? No. Well, we're looking for somebody that can love. Right? You got any self-discipline? You know, we're looking for somebody that's capable of self-discipline. You see? Somewhere it said that to initiate a person that is not prepared is like jumping off of a mountain. You see? Like jumping off of a mountain. You see? Because they're aware to teach you out. It's true. You see? I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Ramaswami tradition and those great gurus that have come in that parampara, right? You see, Swamiji Maharaji or, you know, Baba Sawan Singh or Chagat Singh. I mean, but there's books on the biographies of some of these gurus, you see. And these gurus, you know what I mean? They just, you see my point? We just ate them up, we killed the guru. We killed the guru. give to the guru to serve us like that. You see. It's an extraordinary thing. You see. Extraordinary thing. I don't know, but a lot of you is familiar with Darshan Singh, the Kapar Singh, and Darshan Singh was a engineer. He would go to work, he was a householder. You see, he'd go to work all day, come home, right? It'd be 30, 40, 50 devotees of his waiting for him. You see, he wouldn't even eat dinner. You see, and he would sit there with those devotees till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, wouldn't even get no sleep. That's what love does. What does your so-called love do? Where's the evidence? You're just talking shit. So love, as Jesus said, and the rest will be added unto you. So love is the foundation. You see? And not this romantic side love, not this emotionalism. That's emotionalism. That ain't love. Love is not like that. Emotion is when we say those come and go. Love don't come and go. You see? You're all excited. That's a sensation. This is not a sensation. That too come and go. Love is that which does not come and go at all. You see? So, you gotta get a better understanding of bhakti. You see? You confuse bhakti with emotionalism. Bhakti is not no emotionalism. You see? Bhakti is the transcendent of self. How can you be a bhakti if you're selfish and still identify with that which you admire? That's not bhakti. You see? That's selfishness disguised as bhakti. You see? You're doing it to make yourself feel better. That's not bhakti. Y'all all right?
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to just kind of give you say you like that old school Dharma, right? You were watching them old videos?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just wanted you to have a first-hand experience of old school House of Ra Dharma. Huh? Well, it didn't work for these rascals, so maybe it'll work on you, huh? Okay. Yes, beloved.
Thank you.
Much more eloquent than me.
No, not at all. Thank you, Master. I'll make my question brief. Recognizing this impermanence, recognizing this duality that we exist in, is there truly a such thing as a legacy? And I ask that from the standpoint of you mentioned Kobe, you mentioned like those immortality projects, so to speak. So is there truly a such thing as a quote-unquote legacy when one recognizes and accepts impermanence and duality?
Nothing here lasts forever. Anything that occurs in time or space will end in time and space, by definition. You see? Now I know you can appreciate that. You have a scientific background, you see. Time and space itself comes to an end. In the tradition of the Yasi is what they call a pralaya, the end, you see. If you look at it from the point of physics, quantum mechanics and so forth, so there was no time and space prior to the Big Bang. So what was there? Potential, right? But legacies, in the sense of the word that you'll be remembered and so forth, I can say to some extent, yes, it's a paradox, because a Buddha, that was 2,500 years ago, Jesus, a couple thousand years ago, you see a Kajami, a Imhotep, But at some point in time, they won't be remembered either, right? So there are legacies that will linger, you see, for a longer extension of time, so to speak, than others, you see. But ultimately, whatever arises in time ends in time. You see? This body has arisen in time. It will end in time. But that is the way of nature. You see, everything that you see in nature, you see, will end in time. Are you with me?
Yes.
Everything, all of the fishes in the seas, all of the mountains. I mean, you would go to Egypt, right, and we saw that Sahara Desert, all that sand, that was water, over with. You see, everything ends in time. Different stretches of time. You see, the sun will end in time. The Milky Way, this galaxy will end in time. You see, long stretches. But whether you want to leave a legacy or not, you will leave a legacy. You see? Some people will still remember you. You know, it may not be a pleasant or flattering legacy. One of the types of, there's about 9 or 12 different types of near-death experiences most people report from the research. With me? And besides the out-of-the-body experience, hovering over your body, et cetera, one of them is what they call a life review. Now, in the life review, right, there's different types, right? But there's a particular type of life review that you may experience in the near-death experience, right? Whereby your whole life flashes. And because in that state, your senses are much more intense and increased, right? So like your ability to feel what other people experience, what we would call empathy, you see, and so forth. Well, we have these mirror neuron cells in the body brain, right? That gives us some ability to feel what another person feels. Somebody falls, you see. Well, liberated from the body, that gets increased very much, right? So what you're able to see now, right, is how you made other people feel, right? See, now we can't see it, you see, because you don't have access to their subjectivity, right? But let's say we made other people feel small, meaningless, useless, less than. You will see that. And then when you are sent back into the body, you'll bring that, and you'll see that psychological change in that person. They're more compassionate now, because they done seen what an asshole they really are. Are you with me? Right? True. And you see how your words, your actions made other people feel. People may not remember what you say. They will always remember how you made them feel. Yes, sir. Right? So you have no choice here, right? You will leave behind a trail of people that you interacted with, that every last one you made them feel like they wouldn't shit. You see? Or you may leave a legacy where everyone you interacted with made them feel like you cared about them, you see? It depends on each individual, you see, where your developmental lines are at, so to speak, right? One of the developmental lines is cognitive, the ability to process information. That's a cognitive line of development. And some people is developed and other people is not so developed, right? But you can have a highly developed cognitive line, right? But a very low developed line of care. You can't care about nobody. You're underdeveloped there. Are you with me? Brilliant person, but cold, uncaring. You see? Or you may be having the care and low on the cognitive. So you cast your pearls beneath the feet of swine type of thing. Are You with me? It depends. So there are these fundamental lines of development. This is just straight psychology, nothing particularly spiritual about it. You know what I mean? But it's part of how this machine operates. You see? But whatever you are, you will leave, you have an impact already. Just by virtue that you exist, automatically will impact others. Your children, your wife, your siblings, your co-workers, et cetera, et cetera. You see? There's going to be a circle of about 15,000 or so people that you have contact. And you will leave an impression, an imprint on them, you see? And you won't know what it's like until you get your life review. And you'll see. Right? Hitler's remembered, but it's what? A butcher, a horrible human being. Maybe some of us will be remembered as a horrible human being. Still called. You see? But really, who wants to be remembered as an asshole?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How can you possibly be okay with that? You see? So since you're going to be remembered, you see, then let them remember something that will make, as Pepe said, right? When you call Pepe's name, it'll taste like sugar on your tongue. So when they say Aviasi, you'll be lick their lips. Something like that.
How was that?
I don't even know if I answered your question.
You did. You described it as a paradox. It all ends, but at the end of the day, we can leave some impression.
Yeah, you're gonna leave something. You're gonna leave something. Even biologically, I mean, you left some of them genes, just like genes were left for you, genes, you see? There's no way to escape it. Because we have a responsibility to everybody in our life. We have responsibilities, you see? So, you know, we're an ecosystem, you see? See, the thing is that we're not separate. You see, the question comes out of a mistaken notion that somehow we are separate. We're not separate from one another. It's an ecosystem. We all affect one another. You see, all of us. You see, we're just one. You see, just one. You see. So, Jesus puts it very beautifully. He said, inasmuch as you do it unto the least of these, you do it unto me. You see, you do it unto yourself. Right? Just like that. So it is a profound matter. Who will have the last word here? I'm quit while I'm ahead.
Savron had his hand up.
Who?
Savron.
You can't see Sarah's hand from way back
I
there.
saw it up. I saw it up. I wondered what
She
he was gonna
volunteered
say.
you, huh?
I didn't want to.
That's like the car.
Go, Savron.
You know, beloved, earlier when you were you know, beloved, earlier when you was mentioning out-of-body experiences, this joke of love just engulfed me. Because there was a woman, it was that she loved me so much. No matter what I said and what I did, and back then I was an asshole like her. All right, but she still loved me. And never argue with this woman. She always loved me. And Shirley will tell you, all right, her name was Medea. And she went into a coma for about, 2 months, honey? was it 2 months? Yeah, 2 months that she went into a coma. And when she came out of that coma, she was a different person. You know, when you were talking in that regard, she was an entirely different person. She lost her will to live. All right? She was tired of this. All right? And I used to question her, you know, where were you at? How you feel? And all that other stuff. But it just reminded me of what you were sharing earlier.
Yes.
And I went through that with my mother-in-law, which said I love her to death. And that is just the truth. And I remember when she did make her transition, I was looking for a lot of family members to be there.
This was Shirley's mother?
Yeah.
I think I came through that.
That's what I was getting ready. You were there. And I love you for that.
Yes, sir.
I love you even beyond that.
Greatest.
You and Joyce was there.
Yeah.
And you just don't know. You really don't know. You really don't know. You really don't know.
That's dangerous ground we tread in. Dangerous. You know, there's a kind of a universal principle, Shakti, that manifests itself in everyone. And you can see beyond the female body to the differences in them, what you would find in every one of them. You see, is that Shakti, that mama principle. You see. So I'm a worshiper of Shakti. And so it just wasn't the one deal. You know, I went Father Bakaji, mother. I mean, same principle. See, mom. Shakti. So that's easy to do with just a few miles. You see, easy to be there. There was nothing on it. I'm just grateful you invited me.
Thank you.
You see,
I'm grateful.
just
Thank you.
I think I think we said enough for today. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha.
Chief, I like you.
that the coffee was gone for 10 days. Oh, Jesus Christ.
We may not have a mansion on the hill, make coats and diamonds by the score,
You
but
and
the things we have no man could
go around here moving cheap.
ever. Just the two of us, now who could ask for more?
Get over there,
We
Roger.
may not have a good stash away. No one knows what tomorrow brings. But as long as I have you, there's no mistaking
Somebody.
that the world is ours to do us anything.
This woman.
Baby, just as long as we have love, two shoulders we can lean on. If we fall, baby, just as long as we have love,
Go get them.
we'll have it all.
We may not have a king close away. Some price of love is all we pay. We can show the world when two hearts beat together.
Love at its finest.
We don't even need to know the time of day. Let all the people keep their wealth and faith. Buy clothes and fancy diamond rings. There's no price to pay for treasures built between us. We can share the world 'cause we have everything. Just as long as we have love,
Shoulders we can lean on.
if we fall,
Baby, just as long as we have love, we'll have it all. Baby, just as long as we have love, two shoulders we can lean on. If we fall, just as long as we have love, two shoulders we can lean on.
if we fall,
Everybody done.
just as long as we have love,
Shoulders we can lean.
we can lean if we fall.
I'll be listening. Beautiful. All right.
Thank you, man. All right.